And we're live. Do you like the new intro? It took me 5 minutes on YouTube to find something that was better than the old shit. It's free, doesn't cost me anything, and it's something even a thick fuck like me can use. I'm amazed I've managed to. It's taken me. How did I not get onto the fact that I can just go on YouTube and just like find these intros, which last for 5 minutes, rather than using that dog shit 30-second countdown that I've been using for the last year? I mean, eventually I might upgrade and do something that like everybody else does, but for now I'm gonna keep it basic, keep it free, and keep it to the level that I'm comfortable with, which is the level of I'm so stupid I can barely operate a computer. So when I do put on an intro to my stream, yeah, I'm basically doing the most basic thing possible, which is I mean I just literally I've been looking at like people's intros and like thinking, these people have got like really great introduction streams and shit. And I thought, sure, I can do something a little bit better. So I literally just went on YouTube and typed in, you know, stream about to start. Typed that in, and I just got like these links to all these like fucking all this shit. So fuck it, I'll have a go at that. And yeah, it's better than the old shit. It's still not up to the level of like what most proper YouTubers do, but fuck it, who cares? It's all about the content, not the introduction. So, and if the content shit as well, well, it's all good. But, let's just go into the chat. Yeah, but 5 minutes late. I had issues, computer issues, internet issues. I couldn't get my computer to connect to the headphones for some reason. Another boomer problem that I deal with, which most people who are clued up with computers and how to basically operate in the modern world don't have, but I do because I'm old and stupid. So I spent 20 minutes frantically trying to sort out the headphone situation. Then the computer wouldn't connect to the internet, even though the phone would. So I spent like 20 minutes trying to sort that out. So hence I was frantically on Twitter going, oh, there might be a delay to the stream. And I'm thinking, oh, am I going to have to cancel the stream? Which I hate to do. But luckily we're here. It's 27 minutes past midnight in the UK. I should be in bed, but I'm not because fuck it. I just love you guys too much. And if you're in the UK as well, then night owls, respect. So into the chat, DJ, what's up, man? As always, Buddy Army, what's up, man? Big T, as all. I'm assuming Big T's there. Big T's there. Big T's always there. Sean, what's up, man? How things doing in Ireland? Chris is in the chat. What's up, Chris? Looking forward to Friday, man. Jonathan's in the chat as well. What's up, Mikey? What's up, Jonathan? Right back at you. Yeah, Sean, I'm a night owl. Yeah, me too. Especially on a Tuesday night. I just love streaming at midnight. It's just so much easier. Like I can't if I just stream at like 7 p.m. UK time. For starters, nobody in the States would be watching this. Well, probably not. And plus, I'd have people walking in and out, getting in the way. My camera's just completely gone out of focus. I don't know why. Is it going to refocus? Hello? Do I look out of focus to you guys? Why am I out of focus? Do I look out of focus to you? Because I look like a Commodore 64 graphic. So let me know, because I just look so. What's broadband coverage? It's good where I am because I'm in a pretty big city, so it's not too bad where I am. It's pretty shit in other places. Camera's back to normal. Yeah, Jonathan. It's pretty shit in more rural areas, but where I am, obviously, it's a big built-up area, like 500,000 people, 600,000 people, probably. Yeah, if you include the wider area, you're talking like million, 2 million. So it's always good. It's always a good Wi-Fi connection. But I did downgrade my internet connection. It was the company I was with was charging too much, so I downgraded to like another company, and they're not as good. And I think it paid the price. I mean, there's a stream last week with Griffin and Lorne. When there was three of us on the stream, I'm just like fucking jerking around, like God knows what. And I'm pretty sure that's to do with the internet. You know, it's just they're not up to the levels of the previous internet provider. But you've got to go where the cheapest is, the cheap option is, and you know, with gas prices and electricity prices in the UK and around the world, holy shit, man, I cannot afford to do anything at the minute. I'm even considering, I mean, as much as it pains me to say it, I might even have to consider like getting rid of my Patreons, you know, to Piers. I've got one to Smalls and Doors. I might have to just get rid of them. It's only like £6-7 a month, but the gas prices in the UK and electricity prices going into the winter, it's just going to be so insane, so bad, so expensive that it's just going to be a case of cutting costs wherever. I mean, I don't know what it's like for you guys in America, but Sean, I'm sure, like, you know, DJ, they'll account for what I'm saying. You know, it's just insane how much gas and electricity is just costing in the UK coming into the winter. It's just scary, man. So Bunny says barely 3 bags of groceries, over $60. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys are definitely feeling it over there in the States as well. You know, the price of gas and electricity is just absolutely fucking insane. But you know, what can you do? Petrol, yeah, well, petrol is petrol, gas is gas. When I say gas, I mean literally gas. You know, like the gas that heats your homes. When I say petrol, I mean petrol. You Americans and your stupid ways of fucking things up. You know, when I go to a petrol station, I fill my car up with petrol, not gas, Jonathan. Okay, I don't care what you Americans say. It's petrol. Gas is what you heat your home with. Petrol is what you fill your car with. Okay, let's just clear that one up right now. I'm not having you Americans jumping on now and saying gas is what you put in your car. No, petrol is what you put in your car. Gas is what you put in your home. I'm just going to piss off a lot of Americans now. Yeah, so basically, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's bad times at the minute financially. Hence why I'm still streaming on a crappy laptop with no fucking decent. Yeah, I mean, ideally, I want to upgrade and I really want to like just get a fucking big, massive fuck off desktop with 2 screens and just put it right in this living room. But not the minute, not with the price the way they are. That is not happening. You can see my face. You'll be able to see my face in like 4K HD 1080, which is probably not a good thing. It's probably better. It stays in like pixelated Commodore 64 level graphics. But it would be nice to upgrade. But at the moment, no, that is not happening. Big T says, I can only imagine what the electric bill will be this month. It's been so hot. Yeah, I suppose in the States as well, because it's so hot in the States. You guys have got your aircon on 24/7. So even though maybe in the winter you don't use as much in terms of heating costs, well, not in certain parts of the States. I know in certain parts of the States it gets cold in the winter, but places in the States where it's just like really, really hot all year round, your aircon costs must be through the roof, just having air conditioning on all the time. I can imagine that as like kills it when it comes to like paying bills on the electricity. Okay, I think I'm caught up with the chat. Ben's in the chat. What's up, Ben? So I think we caught up with everyone in the chat. So let's just move on to tonight's topics of conversation, and let's move on to a film which is in my thumbnail. That film is Prey on Hulu. Yeah, I mean, this film has gained a lot of publicity over the last few weeks, mainly due to the fact that there's a lot of people who are praising it and there's a lot of people who are hating it. And I'm kind of coming into it, I'm trying to come into it with like a sort of like level head. But I've seen the film, so I'm kind of like torn between my take on it, because going into the film before I'd seen the film, you know, it was just like endless sort of like positive praise of the film. You know, you know, and most of the online and physical media who I watched or read seemed to love the film, saying it was the best film since the original, which I would definitely disagree with. Luckily, it's a pretty low bar when it comes to the Predator franchise. I mean, Predators, it's got its fans, not for me. Jamie, what's up? Jamie's in the chat. You got the Predator in 2017, I think, which was, I think, Shane Black, which is just fucking dog shit. It's a dog shit film. It's probably the worst of the bunch. You've got the new, obviously, got the new movie Prey. You've got Predator. You've got the Alien vs Predator films. I wouldn't really regard them as part of the franchise. To me, they're a separate thing, and plus, they are fucking terrible films. If you like them, you like them. I think they're fucking garbage movies. So when it comes to Prey being the best film since the original, I wouldn't say you're far off. I would say that it's not as good as 2, personally. I would say that Prey has got a few issues that, it's hard to escape. I mean, the problem with Prey is it's kind of come in. It's been released at a time when obviously there's a lot of focus on like woke culture, woke movies, and I'm not pretending I'm not aware of all that. I do sort of partake in all like that sort of like, I do call it out a lot, woke culture and woke movies, and I do think there is an issue with woke movie. I think there is a problem with like movies having maybe focusing too much on a message rather than just giving a good story. I think Prey, in the most part, does it avoids it to some extent, but I think in some ways it does kind of fall into that woke trap a little bit. I do, in terms of, I mean, I think the film's well shot. I think the film is gorgeous to look at. But in terms of, I mean, I did make some notes because I didn't want to go into completely, talking wishy-washy, but yeah, I've got the acting, I think, is pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. I just don't think they hook you in with the acting. To me, I think the female lead, I think she's fine. I think some of the supporting cast, I don't know whether I literally know nothing about the backgrounds of these people. I don't know whether these people are actors, and this is going to sound really, really, naive of me. I mean, did they bring people in who are Native Americans just to play the roles? Because I can't imagine there's many Native American actors who are genuinely Native Americans. I can't help but notice that one of the actors in the film, his name is like literally like, it's literally like a proper like real Native American name, like Black. I don't forget. Don't quote me on it. I can't remember, but he's a full-on Native American with a proper Native American name. Now, is this guy even an actor? I don't know. Is he just somebody who's a Native American? They needed like Native American cast. I don't. This is going to sound really bad of me now because I just don't know, because the acting was so bad. for most of the characters. It just wasn't like what I would consider, you know, mid-level acting. I think the main character was decent, and I think her mother was a decent actor. But from the most of the male cast, they came across as people who they just decided, well, you look like a Native American. Let's get you on board, and you can just like say your lines and go away. That's how it came across to me. As bad as that may sound, that's how it felt. But I mean, yeah, the acting just took me out the film a little bit. I just thought it was stilted, wooden. Dan's in the chat. What's up, Dan? In terms of like, there's apparently a Comanche dubbed version, but that is just completely pointless because when you watch a dubbed version of a movie, you're usually watching like a dubbed version of like a Japanese film or a European film. So it doesn't work as well because you're watching a dubbed version. This dubbed Comanche version is not the original cast talking in Comanche. It's just people who can speak Comanche speaking over them. So that makes the film, that version is going to be even worse than this version. So that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. In terms of like, you know, plot wise, I just did the characters just bored the hell out of me. Amber Midthunder, who plays the main role, I think she was a little bit of a Mary Sue, maybe not to the point of Rey in the Star Wars trilogy, but I mean, sorry, let me just turn the volume down on the TV because it might be a little bit loud. Sorry about that. But Amber Midthunder, who plays like the title role, or not title role, the lead role, you know, she doesn't really seem to face much, you know. See, Cody Leach on Twitter, he said that basically, you know, the people, he's basically calling out people who said that this film was woke and she was a Mary Sue, and he said these people would have called out Sarah Connor in Terminator and Ellen Ripley in Aliens or Alien. And I just replied to Cody and I said, that's a bad take. I said, because Sarah Connor is not a Mary Sue, because Sarah Connor in Terminator 1 is completely innocent young woman who is completely out of her depth, is totally reliant on Kyle Reese to get her out of the shit that she's in. And he is with her right up until the final point. You know, it's only at the very, very final point where, you know, she's backed up into a little corner and she pushes the button. You know, she, right up until the final part of the film, she was a woman in distress. It was 10 years of the realization of what was to come that turned her into a warrior. You know, so to say that like Sarah Connor is a Mary Sue is fucking ridiculous. Cody Leach, fucking hell, man. What the fuck are you talking about? He didn't tweet it, but he fucking backed up a tweet that someone else had said. Cody, go and watch Terminator 1 and watch Terminator 2 again. Fuck's sake, man. Ellen Ripley, you know, Ellen Ripley of Alien is not the same Ellen Ripley of Aliens. You know, and I know people always say, oh, you know, people in our circle who call out woke culture, we always use Ellen Ripley and Sarah Connor as examples. There's plenty of examples from women in the 80s and 90s. The thing is, in the 80s and 90s, it wasn't overly stated that these women were fantastic, stunning, and brave. In this film, it's constantly, you're banged over the head with the idea that this woman is better than all the men. She can go out, she can hunt. They're all bigots. I mean, let's be honest. The only thing that stopped the men being more bigoted than what they were is because they were Native Americans. You know, they saved that for the French guys who came over. And I'm only amazed that they didn't use English. Because if you want to be completely honest, you know, if you want to use the ultimate bad guys, just send some Englishmen over, because they'll always be the bad guys. But they decided to use the Frenchmen, who were like borderline, you know, I mean, they were just like, so beyond human. It was they were just like so they were like almost like animalistic in the way they behaved. But that's just the way they want to portray society now. That's the way they want to portray everything. So yeah, I mean, Naru was she was a fucking Mary Sue. She was to the point. She outrun a fucking deer to a point. It was it a deer or was it an elk? Some sort of like, you know, and I hate to get into like sort of like real world situations in a film which is about an alien coming to Earth. And I understand that, you know, in the original Predator, you know, we've got to like suspend disbelief for a moment, but you've got to remember that, you know, the Predators coming to Earth in 1987 is dealing with the elite of the elite of the elite, tooled up men who have dealt with the most same situations. The Predator coming to Earth in 1719, it almost feels like an utter mismatch. Now, I understand that apparently I'm not completely down with the lore of the Predator franchise, but apparently, you know, this Predator wasn't as advanced or wasn't allowed the same type of weapons that the Predator in the 87 film came with because it hadn't earned its stripes. But it just seemed almost like, I mean, the whole thing seemed like an unfair fight anyway. A Predator coming to Earth in 1719 and coming to a place where people didn't even have, like, realistically, apart from a few French slavers, people didn't even have guns. I mean, killing snakes and killing wolves, that just seems like slightly below the Predator to me. I don't know. It just seemed, you know, the snake kill just seems so cheap and really bad CGI, on that kill as well. But I'm losing train of thought now because there's so much stuff in this film that really, the whole the gun, the whole them taking the gun from the Predator, which obviously appears in Predator 2. So, I mean, it's just been mentioned in numerous streams since the film aired. So basically, the Predators came back to Earth and just wiped out their entire clan and took the gun back. So, what was the point in even showing the gun in the first place? Because you're trying to end on a high note. Well, it doesn't end fucking well for you lot, does it? Because clearly they come back and take the fucking gun, unless something else happens. I mean, going away from like the obviously, I'm trying to stay away from like the woke factor too much because I don't want to sound like, you know, I'm just like, oh, it's just unrealistic with this 5'2" you know, £100 girl who's just beats a Predator. Forget that. The whole setting, the open plains for me is, this is not I'm not having a go now about the whole, you know, the actors and the actors. I just prefer the jungle setting of Predator 1, you know, that enclosed, very, very claustrophobic setting, as opposed to this the open plains. You know, it feels very open, it feels very wide and very, you know, if the Predator appears in this movie, you feel like, well, I'm going to see it from like a mile off because it's just so open. That the whole claustrophobia of the first Predator film, and wherever it is like it's meant to be Central America, you know, deep woods. You know, it's so tight. It's so the heat from that film, you can almost feel it on your skin when you watch the film. It totally lacks. You just totally lacks that in this film because this is obviously set in the US. You know, in a very wide open space. And yeah, the claustrophobia is gone. And okay, Predator 2, the claustrophobia is gone to a point, but Los Angeles is still a compact sort of city. It's very, very, you know, it still has that compressed sort of like claustrophobic, city-wise anyway, feel of like, you know, everybody's like, you know, on edge all the time. And feels like a very relaxed, you know, that setting is very relaxed. You know, it's open air, you know, wide open vistas, and you just don't get that sense of like unease that you do with the first Predator film, and to a lesser extent the second Predator film. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, at the end of the day, I think Prey is highly, highly overrated. I do think that the mainstream media do. I think they have gone overboard with the reviews, because I do think that there is an agenda behind this film. There is an agenda behind this film to a point where they feel they've got to put, like, I mean, the idea, I mean, it is like woke level 101. You know, it's like, like we've got a Native American female playing the role in the lead, in this film, kills big bad guy. She's done what, the men couldn't do, and it feels very, very, it just feels forced. It feels like it's pushing an agenda, and I haven't got an issue with this if it felt organic, but none of this feels organic anymore. I mean, tell me if any of this feels organic. This whole Hollywood now doesn't feel organic. It just feels like it's just constantly trying to push whatever they're trying to push. Nothing. It doesn't feel like anything's come. I mean, yeah, I'm glad Jamie agrees, because I'm glad that, well, I hope she agrees with me anyway. If she's agreeing with what I said, hopefully. Chris says you can make it, but it was fun. It's a pair story. I mean, yeah. I mean, look. I mean, Chris, listen, man. Like I've said, for me, it's the third best Predator film. I mean, I think it's better than Predators. It's way better than The Predator, which had no agenda, to my knowledge. The Predator was just a fucking bad film. The Aliens versus Predator films had no agenda. They were just fucking terrible films. I just feel like this is a good. Not a good film. I think it's a decent film, but I think would have benefited maybe more if it didn't quite push the whole. What in my mind it was trying to push, maybe. But it is what it is. I just think I'm kind of like along the lines of Dan. I think Dan was kind of like quite negative about the film, and I am as well, to a point. I just think it's just not all it's cracked up to be. But onto They Them, because They Them dropped. See, this was this was going to be a quick stream today. I wasn't even going to. I was actually considering not even going to stream or do something a bit different. But then this dropped. They Them dropped. A little bit of other news dropped about Friday the 13th and The Strangers. So all of a sudden it was like, oh, holy shit, this is going to be a bit of a packed stream. But onto They Them. Holy shit, this film is, well, I mean, where did he go with this? I mean, this film is just so bad. I mean, it's not even, I don't know who this film is appealing to. I mean, I know Nick loved it. I love Nick, huge streams with Christian. I love Nick. I think he's a great guy. But I mean, he loved it. But I mean, Nick's woke as fuck. Like, I mean, he is woke as fuck, and he loved the message, apparently. Okay, the message is, what is the message exactly? I'm not entirely sure. But the message is that it's okay to murder innocent people if you believe in the right ideology. Because in this film, nobody who is a good guy dies. But at the beginning of the film, the villain, and I use that term because it's never really clearly identified whether she's the villain, because they try and set her up as a sympathetic character, even though she kills a perfectly innocent person at the beginning of the film, because we don't know who this woman is. In the opening scene, this is spoilers, by the way, our antagonist kills the person who's going to go and work at the camp, the gay conversion camp, or trans conversion camp, whatever you want to call it. The person who's going to go and work there is killed by our antagonist to take her place. Now, the antagonist is meant to be, I can only imagine, in the eyes of the Twitter, sphere of trans activists, she's the good guy because she's killing off. And don't get me wrong, the people who are killed off in the film are not good guys. They are like nasty fucks, I'm not saying they don't deserve to get killed off in the film. Not obviously. We're talking about slasher films now. So I'm not saying like in the real world these sorts of people should be killed. I'm talking about in horror movies, these people would absolutely be up for getting offed by the antagonist. I totally get that. My point being is, in the film, the only victims of the killer are the so-called bad guys, apart from the opening kill, because she kills a person who we have no idea who this person is. We don't know who this person is. This person is just going to do a job at a conversion camp. She could be a lovely, lovely person who doesn't know what she's getting herself into. But she's fucking murdered by this woman, spoiler alert, to take her place at the conversion camp, to kill the people who run the conversion camp. But she's doing it for, as she explains at the end, she's doing it because these people ruined her life. Well, maybe he did, Kevin Bacon's character. Honestly, can't say for the rest of them. But that's not the point. It's the fact that she fucking murdered somebody to take her place just to go and kill more people. That isn't a sympathetic character. But you kind of get the impression at the end that they're trying to make her sympathetic. And okay, the final part, with the main protagonist, who's the good guy, good girl. I'm not even sure whether good guy, good girl. I'm not entirely sure. I think it was a girl who could transition to a boy. Whether she'd gone through the full transition, I don't know. The film just left me scratching my head part of the time. And we've got a trans man who was in the women's showers, who was boosted out of the women's showers because she was still a man. Was he? I don't know. We didn't see all this equipment. I'm just lost now because, just I grew up on 80s slasher films. There was a boys' camp, there was a girls' camp, and they'd meet up, have sex, and then get killed. So call me old-fashioned, call me a bigot. I don't fucking know what the fuck's going on with this film. All I know is the antagonist, the main guy, looked like a lesbian woman who sounded like a gay man. I think he was a trans man, and his accomplice, who's like the second main character, was a trans woman but hadn't converted completely, so was still a man. But maybe were they played by a woman? I don't know. I just need to know. I'll just leave it there. I'm not entirely sure. I'll probably get cancelled on Twitter for this talking about this film, talking about it in this derogatory way. Jesus Christ! Don't tell Twitter, don't tell the blue-haired lunatics on Twitter that I dissed they them. Jesus Christ! So yeah, Kevin Bacon is the one saving grace of this film. Kevin Bacon is just Kevin Bacon. He does what Kevin Bacon does. He keeps the film ticking over. He plays the bad guy to, he hams it up. He knows what he's in. Kevin Bacon knows what he's in this film. He's not trying to be, he knows that this film is dog shit and he's just taking the paycheck. But, sometimes that's the best thing to do. If you're like an A-list actor, which Kevin Bacon kind of is, maybe B-list, but he's certainly way above the Z-list shit of this film. But my God, yeah, if it wasn't for Kevin Bacon, this film would probably disappear without a trace. it takes a special kind of talent to make a camp slasher and me not love it. I mean, I don't hate this film. I really don't. It's a camp slasher, so I can just it to me. It's just there's just indifference. I can't hate it because I can never hate a camp slasher film. But to me, it's just utter indifference. And the last camp slasher film that did that to me was Fear Street 78, which I fucking hated so much as well. I mean, that film was just fucking awful. Probably worse than this piece of shit, to be honest with you, because it's. I mean, at least this film knows it's shit. I think this film knows it's shit. Fear Street 78 thought it was something fucking good, and it was fucking dog shit, man. Fear Street 94 was the only decent film in that trilogy. But they utter shit. Oh my god! I mean, Jesus Christ, man. So I mean, I was going to talk more about it, but you know what? Fuck it. I've been going for like 40 minutes, so let's get onto like the main topic of conversation, which wasn't even going to be a main topic of conversation until 24 hours ago. Had no actually fuck that. Let's get into the chat. I've just completely ignored the chat, so let's go back. How fucking far back am I to go in? I was chatting shit for 20 minutes, so only things I don't know what people are talking about. We're definitely going to get a sequel to Success into a series, so I don't know whether Big T's talking about they them or no. He's supposed to about Prey, I'm guessing. Dan says, I think people just thought she was hot, overlooked her blandness. Yeah, she was hot, like, but she was bland. I mean, I'm definitely guessing that Dan is talking about Prey there. He's not talking about they them. Nobody in they them was hot. But well, no, there was a couple of hot characters, like, but you know, the main two weren't hot. DJ Clapmont, let's say, so I'm guessing that means you're coming back to streaming, Jamie. I'm just making complete guesses now on some of the comments, but I'm guessing that means you're going to do a stream, as you should as well. Yeah, Dan says I'm not a big Cody. Cody's Cody. You know, Cody's like, he's a big guy now, and he's got like what, nearly 100,000 subs. So he's got a lot of weight behind him. I do think, you know, when you get that much weight behind you, you are constrained to what you can say. It's just a fact, isn't it? You know, if you've got 100,000 subs, 200,000 subs, and I don't just mean that in the way that you can't say anything against the left. I always think like a guy like the Critical Drinker, who I love. The Critical Drinker's got 1.2 million subscribers, but he's kind of like got himself tied into this sort of like not right wing, that's the wrong word, but kind of like anti-woke, sort of like PC crowd, so I kind of think with the Critical Drinker, he's kind of like in the situation that like people who like have made it big on the other side of the spectrum, where they feel like they can't come out and say something positive. So it's like somebody like who's playing it safe politically on the left won't come out and say something negative about something in physical in in the media, you know, film wise or TV wise or whatever, comedy wise. But at the same time, maybe people who are like more inclined towards right leaning, sort of like YouTubers and shit like that, they feel like they can't come out and say something, you know, against what their fan base is supporting. So it's kind of a tricky one. I think when you get to a certain level, you've got to, you know, it's difficult to. I mean, that's the whole. You know, look at people who have never sold out. You know, I mean, whether it's YouTube. You know, YouTube is a smaller thing, but you know, music, books, anything. You know, who sold out, who didn't sell out, who stuck by the values. Rage Against the Machine, they didn't. They fucking sold out big time. Fuck Rage Against the Machine. Jesus Christ. They are the biggest sellouts ever, man. Fucking hell. J.K. Rowling kind of sold out and then kind of reined herself back in again a little bit. But yeah, most people do sell out. It's just a fact of life. It takes guts not to sell out. I mean, you know, it's like me having like this now, you know, 92 subscriber channel and just calling out shit like they, them, and saying I think it's fucking woke shit. If I was to have 92,000 subscribers, it would be braver of me to call it out with 92,000 subs than it is with 92 subs. I'd still feel the same about the film, but with 92,000 subscribers, would I have the guts to call it out if I've got advertisements at the beginning of the video? I'd like to think so, but until someone's in that position, who knows, you know? It's when money starts talking, that's when the mind starts wandering. So I quite like that. You know, I just came out that on the fly. When money starts talking, the mind starts wandering. I might fucking use that. I've not robbed that off anyone. I swear to God, that is my own little saying, and I just came up with that off the top of my head. So I'm totally off the chat again. Hi, Big T. I want my MTV. Sean, she tried to kill Dave, but they can get it. She kept up with it though, didn't she? For a set, it was like a day is like fucking. What's a day like 50 fucking miles an hour? It can run. She's a human. I mean, how the hell does she? The dog can't do more than 20. It's fucking bullshit. Chris is, I felt behind responding. No worries, Chris. I look at a kill the animals moving up the food chain. Yeah, but it went from grizzly bear to £120 woman or man. I'd say at that point in time, I'd say the grizzly bear is more dangerous. It certainly seems to cause it more trouble than most of the male characters in the film. Most of the male characters in the film just get fucking wiped out. Sean says, I remember people having a problem with Predator 2 being set in a city. I mean, Predator 2 was never going to match the original film. But I mean, you've got Bill Paxton, you've got Danny Glover. I mean, okay, they're no Arnie, not in substitution to Arnie, but you know, I still, yeah. I mean, you know what the thing is? I mean, okay, if I'd grown up in the 2000s, never seen a Predator film, and then you just put every film in front of me from now, like right now, and I watched them all, maybe Prey would feature highly than Predator 2. It's possible. There's no way it would feature more higher than Predator though. That is just, you know, you can't deny the brilliance of that film. I mean, that is just a fantastic film, regardless. It doesn't matter what age you are, when you grew up. That is just a fantastic film. Predator 2 is, yeah. I mean, you could make a point that that film is of its time, and maybe, you know, watching it, showing it to someone now who didn't grow up in that time, they may think, oh, Prey's a better film, and I can totally understand that. I think most people would agree though that the Predator in 2017 is just a complete pile of shit. That's just unequivocal dog shit. I mean, no one's debating that one. Fucking hell, man. Okay, so let's move on to Friday the 13th. Let's try and get the numbers up again. So, okay, Bloody Disgusting did a podcast with somebody who knows somebody, apparently, and they've dropped rumours about the Friday the 13th franchise. We're going to get something new, maybe, hopefully. So, you know, just you guys in the chat, you know, what would you like to see in a Predator film, in a Friday the 13th movie? Where do we go with the Friday the 13th franchise? Are we going to go with something new, something old, something borrowed, something blue? Yeah, I mean, Jamie Blanks actually tweeted out he wants responsibility for the new film, and he said he'd take it back to the 80s, get rid of the cell phones, get rid of modern communications, and just take it back to its basics. And I thought, fucking hell, man, I am definitely down for that one. Jamie Blanks directing a new Friday the 13th film. I'm all for that. But I mean, we don't really know what's going on with the Friday the 13th franchise. It's been one interview on Bloody Disgusting from somebody who obviously knows more than what we do. But I mean, in terms of the court case with Miller and Victor Miller and fucking what's his name? His name escapes me. I've been reading the Crystal Lake Chronicles as well. What's his name? Sean Cunningham. Sorry, so Cunningham and Vic Miller. They can't get along, so they've been getting it on. I mean, I just wish somebody would come in and just say, "Look, here's fucking 100 million for you, 100 million for you," which is obviously way more than they ever get. But just imagine Elon Musk came in and said, "You know what? Here's 100 million. Here's 100 million. I've got the rights now, and I'm just going to send the Friday the 13th franchise back to the 1980s, and I'm going to get one of the best directors in the world to direct it. Imagine Quentin Tarantino directing a Friday the 13th movie and set in the 1980s with Elon Musk as executive producer. Holy shit, that would be some fucking crazy stuff. Just like an unlimited budget, which may or may not be a good thing. I'm not entirely sure. That might actually be a bad thing, an unlimited budget for a Friday movie. But in terms of just like what I'd like to see, I mean, okay, I mean, I've done this video before, and this video, you can find it on my YouTube channel, but I'll say it again because most people probably didn't even watch the video. So I've got an idea for a Friday the 13th film, okay? And if you've heard this before, then okay, just bear with me. But if you've not heard this before, I think this is a fucking good idea, man. This would not be canon. This would be kind of like a kind of a segue into the new universe of Friday films. This could be like kind of like a fun little introduction before the main event. So the way I would set up a new Friday film, and like I say, this would not be a official sequel. This would be a bit of a fun thing. So my theory is, in my film, is that Jason Voorhees is a character of the 80s. He's so essentially part of the 80s that the 80s is what made him. The 80s is why he is as he is. And basically, this film would feature after Friday the 13th Part 7, because we can't have Part 8, because Part 8, he dies in Manhattan, and he need in my universe of the film I would release, he needs to be at the bottom of Camp Crystal Lake at the beginning of the film. So the way I look at it is, for me, I've always said, like, for me, the Friday the 13th franchise, it's an 80s product. It begins in 1980, it ends in 1989 with Jason Takes Manhattan. But we'll scrap Jason Takes Manhattan from the equation for this, because it needs to be scrapped from the equation. So in this universe, it goes from 1980 to 1988. Okay, I know the film's kind of like stretched beyond 1988 in their weird timeline, but forget that. The film ends after The New Blood. Jason is sent to the bottom of Camp Crystal Lake, and he exists there for another like couple of years, just like as an inanimate object, but he's still there. The brain's still working. He's still alert to a point. But rather like the end of Terminator 2, when Arnie goes into the lava pit and everything just shuts off, as we move into 1990, the countdown, 10, 9, 8, that's like the countdown to the real death of Jason. Zombie Jason, physical Jason. Jason is gone, because once the 80s are over, essentially that is what made Jason. the 1980s. He was a product of that decade. So as we move into 1990, at the beginning of the film, you just see Jason fully turn off. You just see that little blip of like acknowledgements of consciousness disappear, and he's gone. And that's the beginning of the film. Are you with me? So you're keeping with me? Because I think this is such a good idea for a film. We move forward 30 years to like 2020, 2022, it doesn't matter, 2020, 2021, 2022, bunch of young teenagers, like late teenagers, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, probably played by 28-year-olds in real life. You know, we all know what it's like. Although I would prefer to get actual late teenagers in the film. They hear about this legendary, you know, campsite, Camp Crystal Lake, Camp Blood. They hear about the shit that went down there in the 80s, and they think, oh, it's all bullshit. You know, it's just, you know, hearsay, old wives' tales. Never really happened. And obviously, the locals have buried the secret of Camp Crystal Lake to a point, but it's got out there enough that it's intrigued of, you know, 6 or 7 young people who decide to go there for a weekend. But what they've done is they've decided they're going to recreate the 80s, because this is a campsite that was closed down in the late 80s. All the shit that went down, and they're not quite sure whether it was real, whether it, you know, there's a lot of rumors, a lot of hearsay. They're not quite sure exactly what happened. So, but they know all this shit allegedly went down in the 80s. So they think their idea is, you know what? We need to escape from like 21st century life, you know, social media, streaming, all that shit. We're going to go and spend a weekend away, you know, offline, you know, in the middle of nowhere. And we'll take it back to, you know, Camp Novi Bosco in New Jersey. And cell phones are all locked away at the beginning of the film. So we see them on the journey to the Camp Novi Bosco, or Camp Blood, as I should say. And at the beginning of the movie, you know, whoever's running this little adventure, you know, we've got like our main sort of like male character or main female character. They're in charge of cell phones, and they say, hand them over. From now on, this is an 80s weekend, and it's just 80s technology. Everybody's bought Walkmans, everybody's bought ghetto blasters. Cell phones are locked away with a key, and the only person who has access to that key, obviously, is the first person to get wiped out. That automatically negates the whole issue with cell phones and like technology and communication. And these people are loving it, you know. You know, it's news to them. You know, it's just, even though they're missing the cell phones a little bit, you know, they're getting on down. Obviously, there's plenty of drugs and plenty of drink. You know, that's still prevalent, obviously. But Jason's in the lake, isn't he? Jason's been asleep for 30 years now. He died with the 80s. But you get all these youngsters coming in with an 80s mentality, with the 80s technology. And they bring like they bring such an 80s vibe to Camp Crystal Lake that stirs something in Jason. So rather than like an electric lightning bolt going through the lake or whatever, we can think of something different to wake Jason up, and that is just a good old lot of cheesy 80s music. They get a disco going. They get the ghetto blaster sets up with the speakers, and they just start pumping out all these old 80s classics. And the thump, thump, thump goes right through the lake, and that is just triggers Jason awake. And Jason thinks it's the 80s, and he is back to life, and he is just fucking on a tear up. Now, tell me if that's not a fucking good idea for a Jason movie. Come on. Am I alone in thinking that's a good idea for a Jason movie? Holy shit, man. I mean, you know, it wouldn't have to be a canon Jason movie. This could just be like a segue into like a new generation. But I just think that's a fucking good idea. Oh, what's up, Mikey? What's up, man? Mikey, you just missed my rewind 10 minutes and you'll hear my take on a new Friday the 13th movie. Yeah, so And hello YouTube, it's your favourite American local truck driver checking in from Georgia. Now look at me, like look GA. I know GA is Georgia. Now give me credit, man. Not many people in England would know that GA was Georgia, but I know my fucking states, man. I know my American states, even the ones that make no sense. Like it's like Pennsylvania, PA. Why isn't it PE? But it's PA. I know that. I shouldn't know shit like that, but I do. But like, as I say, that's my take on a Friday the 13th movie. And going forward, yeah, I mean, obviously, I just get your fucking shit together, Miller and fucking Cunningham. Just sort it out and let's just get through it, because I mean, I'm just so on board for anything to do with Friday the 13th. Let's go back into the chat. Eugene Levy's ass crack looks like it was 80% model piss of Demi was hairy and angry. I didn't realise Eugene Levy was in the film till halfway through. I was just like, what the hell? Oldest book reviews. Don't worry about the angry moat Rob. Thanks, man. I'll try not to. Well, you're a well-versed, educated man. Thank you, Mikey. I try to be. I do try. Okay, final topic of the night. Let's move on to The Strangers. Dropped same bloody disgusting podcast. I think they dropped the same information in both fucking in just one podcast about Friday the 13th and Strangers. Strangers dropping 3 sequels. Not going to spend too long on this. I mean, literally, I mean, The Strangers from 2008, massively overrated film in my opinion. Never liked that film. Didn't consider the antagonists threatening in any way. I just thought half decent trained person would probably take them out no problem, but you've got like a husband and wife who didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and they just they didn't. I didn't consider them a threat in any way. Strangers Prey at Night, better film, far better film. But they did get killed off in that. I mean, this is meant to be a sequel, apparently 3 sequels, but obviously the 3 characters in the film are like 2 kids and literally a kid and then like an older kid and then like a young adult. So obviously, if it's going to be 3 direct sequels, I mean, they were all killed off, weren't they? In Prey at Night, I'm sure they were all killed. So plus the fact they'd be older now anyway. If this is going to be a sequel set modern day, they would be all adults now. So it wouldn't even make any sense. I don't know whether they're just going to go back and just like bring in new kids with new masks, or what the hell they're planning to do. Maybe they're just going to reboot the whole thing as a trilogy. I don't know. I mean, the original Strangers, average film. The sequel I do like, but I mean, in terms of like the original version of The Strangers, them from 2007, I think it's a French film. Far better than the American remake, and far better than the sequel as well. Them is one of the best films of the 2000s. If you want a genuinely terrifying movie, Them from 2007 is it just scenes in that movie which are just genuinely chilling. I mean, to the level, I mean, in terms of like what I would consider like actually scary, rather than just like, oh, well, this is entertaining me because it's violent. I mean, I compared it to like Hell House LLC, which is another film which I think is genuinely scary, as opposed to a movie like Hellfest. I do love Hellfest. I love like a film like Haunt. I mean, comparing them to Hell House LLC, there's extreme haunted house movies. you know, Hellfest is a film that I really, really like, but it's a fun ride. It's like a roller coaster. You know, you never feel like it never feels like a scary situation. With Hell House LLC and movies like them, genuinely, there are scenes where it's really, really uncomfortable, and you really, really feel, you know, it's watching movies like that in the dark at 2 o'clock in the morning by yourself. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly an experience. But anyway, that's basically my thoughts on Strangers. Not really much. I mean, there's very little information about that film, so and there's not really much information about Friday the 13th. To be honest with you, I just thought I'd share my little thoughts on how I'd like the franchise to go. Can everybody who's still in the chat, can you please like the stream, because it I think it does make a slight difference in the algorithms, especially when anything would help at the level I'm at, to be honest with you. So yeah, if you could just like the stream, that'd be a big thanks, a big thank you for that one. Getting close to 100 subscribers now, so it's, you know, I mean, it's like, and if everyone's not voted, I mean, I think most people have voted on the horror YouTube of the month. If you go to Slash Home Video, Chris's channel, if you look up one of his most recent videos where he won horror YouTube of the month, you can vote for me in that video. So go along and do that. If I do win, oh God, that's quite scary, because I'm going to make a video about who we're going to nominate. And Jesus Christ, I might actually get used to doing a bit of editing and stuff. So that's quite scary. But anyway, if everyone's still in the chat, I'm going to wrap things up now. But Friday night at midnight UK time, 7 p.m. Eastern, it's myself, Chris, and Griffin, and we are watching Friday the 13th Part 3. It's the 40th anniversary of Part 3. It's also Friday the 12th. Okay, it's not quite Friday the 13th. That would have been nice. But yeah, so Friday the 13th, 3D, watch along, Friday night, midnight UK time, 7 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully see you there. And for everyone who's been in the chat tonight, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So I'll see you guys Friday night. If I don't see you Friday night, hopefully I'll see you next Tuesday for another stream. And I will see you later.